Welcome, my friends. I am Miranda and you're here with May Yoga. Today's practice is going to be another great one for our beginners in yoga. It's going to be very slow, very well explained. I will be very detailed in my words and in my demonstration of these poses. So if you are just starting out with a yoga practice, this will be a great way for you to learn some really nice poses you're going to need in your practice. If this is the first time joining me, please check the description below this video and you'll find a link for a separate video called Tips for a Safe Yoga Practice, and watch that first. For props, you're probably not going to need water. It's not going to be an intense thing at all, but it's always nice to have water nearby, of course. And I would recommend that you have a couple of small pillows, maybe a little blanket, because we are going to finish with the beautiful shavasana. And especially if you have some tightness in your hips, pillows are going to help with the hips and the knees to kind of settle in with some of these seated poses we're going to practice. All right, so just to begin, we're going to start in a cross-legged seated position. The first thing I'm going to show you is Padmasana, which is lotus pose. I'm going to show you a half lotus, and then we're going to kind of work with that. It's really great for your ankles and everything, so it's a nice way from a seated pose to start working and warming the ankles up. It's really great once you get used to it to hold for meditation. It's a beautiful, strong, meditative pose. So from cross-legged, we're going to be your mirror here. We're going to work on the left foot first. So have your left leg in front to begin. And then all you do for lotus pose is you're going to pick up the foot that's in front, so the left one here. The outside of the left foot is going to come towards the front of your right hip. And when you do this, you're going to make an inversion of the ankle. So you're going to start to loosen up. If you have really tight ankles, especially for my runners, my dancers out there, you might have a little difficulty here. So in this pose, if you feel this is too much, you can always just bring the foot to the top of the calf muscle of your right leg. But you're working to kind of bring that to the front of the hip, and you'll notice that foot is turned. If this is a little bit too much, maybe on the knees or on the hips, this is where you can use a pillow. Gently bring it underneath that left knee and just give you a little bit of support here. All right, so holding here, really important things that you want to consider and be aware of is you want your sit bones, those little bones in your butt, you want to make sure they're both connected. You're not tipping over one way or the other, that you're grounded here so that your spine is straight. You're creating a nice long central axis at the back. All right, so holding here for just another breath. This is a meditative pose, so if you'd like, you can always sit, close the eyes for a few moments. And then we're going to begin switching to the other side, just so you can kind of feel the difference between the two sides. So releasing the pillow if you had that. And then using your hands, being very nice and gentle here, release that left leg down. And then switch your cross-legged position, so now your right leg is in front. And we're going to again use the hands, bringing up that right foot. Outside of the right foot comes to the front of the left hip. Again, grabbing that pillow, bringing it underneath that right knee if you need a little support here. Whatever it takes for you to get a bit comfortable as possible, right? And then holding it here. Staying here, and I'm just going to show you the full Padmasana if you want to work towards that. If this is good where you are today and you just want to do the half, hold there, work with it. Your hips will loosen up, your ankles will loosen up, and you will come into a full lotus. So just to show you, when you're from this half lotus, you're going to bring the other foot out, and it crosses over top. Again, outside the foot to the front of the opposite hip. And the knees come down towards the mat. This is a double inversion, so people, if you do have some ankle tightness, it's going to be a bit difficult for you. But this is a great pose to kind of work towards. So holding here for just another few moments. Lovely, guys. So to release lotus pose, we go into it just as softly, come out of it just as softly as we went into it, using the hands to help release the legs, and just doing a regular cross-legged position. Now, my first Yoga for Beginners video, I actually demonstrated this butterfly pose, but it's a really important integral pose. I'm going to show you really quickly on this one as well. To go to butterfly, you're bringing the bottoms of your feet together. So you can start by just having the feet down on the ground, feet together, and then you're going to start to open the book of your knees, letting the knees fall out, bottom of the feet come together. Now, a lot of people, especially starting out, are going to have a lot of tightness here, and that's fine if you need to have your feet further apart. Again, you can have the pillows underneath the knees to help hold you if you feel you're straining too much to sit up straight. So use your props to help get you in the right posture so that your body will learn the asana and it'll kind of adjust in a nice, respectful manner. Your hands wrap around the front, the top of the feet, clasp the fingers and hold here. The beautiful thing about butterfly is that it really does work the knees, it stretches, it releases. It's great for the hips, obviously. You're pushing your feet here, you're doing a slight compression here. So it's a really nice seated pose. It's something that I actually encourage people, if you're normally sitting cross-legged, watching TV or just sitting with friends, try to bring a little butterfly into your daily life. So then it starts to kind of increase the flexibility in your lower body. Okay, so in butterfly you can always do nice little stretches, side stretches, maybe bring one hand out, the other arm over. So you can really play here in this butterfly pose, holding and doing lateral bends, or even walking your hands forward into a forward fold. So get this part first, get the seated part first, and then you can play around with the upper body. All right, so holding the hands here, taking one more deep breath. And then to finish this off, we are going to go into a little bit of that forward fold. So bring the hands down in front of you and walking the hands as far as you can. Remembering yoga is about respecting the body, so you go to the edge of that comfort zone and then just a little bit beyond it so that you're challenging your body, but you're not inviting injury, okay? So only going as far forward as you can, where you're gonna hold, and then you're gonna drop the head, release the chin down, and close the eyes. Feeling the beautiful release into the hips, stretching out all the ligaments around the knees. And of course, since this is a forward fold, you're getting a lovely stretch into the back. So when you're ready to come out, you're going to come out just the way that you went in, walking the hands, bringing yourself back up to a seated position. Next, I would like to demonstrate Gomukhasana, which is cow pose. So it's another seated position. We're going to be focusing on seated, and we're going to do a little supine, little reclined poses later. We're going to go to Gomukhasana. So release the knees. Just wrap your arms around the knees for a moment. Now, the great thing about this cow pose is that it is a wonderful pose for the hips, but you do want to be careful with your knees. You don't want to invite twist or torsion into the knees. So I'm going to go very slowly with you. Make sure that you're being very gentle and respectful. So we're going to go on the right side first. All right. So bringing that right leg down so that the right knee is pointed towards the front, like towards the side of your mat if you're turned sideways on your mat like me. So your right knee is pointed forward, and then you're going to pick up the left leg and cross it over. Now some people, this is going to be enough for you. You're already feeling it in your hips. If this is where you are today, hold there. The full Gomukhasana legs though, or your knees are going to be stacked on top of each other. So you're going to draw that left knee so that it goes on top of that right. Very important, both feet are flexed. When you flex your feet, this is protecting your knees. You're creating that line and you're bringing the twist, the rotation into your hips, which is where you want it. You don't want to twist your knees, right? So making sure that you have those feet flexed. Again, those little sit bones that we talk about in yoga, they're connected to the ground, so you're not falling over. Grounding yourself here, so again, you can sit up nice and tall. Now this is your Gomukhasana legs. You can do a lot again with your arms here. You can kind of start to work into the shoulders, but I'm just showing you the seated part of Gomukhasana. So hold here for just a few moments. You're going to feel a lovely opening into that left hip, sitting up nice and tall. Your arms can just be relaxed here since we're not doing anything with the arms on this pose. And now obviously we do both sides, but before we go to the other side, I'm actually going to show you Ardha Matsyendrasana, which is half Lord of the Fishes pose. It's a crazy name, I love it. So it's a nice way to kind of transition to this Ardha Matsyendrasana pose because you're already in this right with your legs. Okay, so from Gomukhasana legs, you're going to pick up the top knee and bring that foot down to the mat. Important things is you're going to be pushing with the big toe against the ground, and then that opposite sit bone, you're gonna make sure stays connected. Those are kind of holding you, grounding you to the mat. Those are your 2 points of pressure that you're really pushing down to the ground. So from here, a lot of people, this is good. You're gonna stay here if that's enough for your hips. But the lovely thing about this pose is you can do a spinal twist here. All right, so I am gonna turn to the side just so you can kind of see this a bit better, what I'm doing behind my back. So again, that left foot is pressed down into the ground, right hip drawn down. All right, sorry, left hip. And then with that knee pointed up, so your left knee is pointed up to the sky, just relaxing the right hand here on the ground to give you that stability. You're going to inhale, lift up that right arm, and then you're going to exhale, begin to twist, looking over behind you and hooking that elbow to the outside of that knee. This is going to give you your anchor point, something you're going to use to push into the twist. Now, if this is good enough of a twist like this, just keep your hand to the outside of the hip. That's fine. If you can have that flexibility to go deeper, your hand's going to come to the lower back, and then it's going to walk out 1 palm length. You want to have that distance so that you're not crunching your back here. You give yourself the space to go into the twist. And when you're twisting, you want to think about, it's easy to just twist the neck. That's not the focus here, it's into your spine. So you really want to think about twisting in the middle of the back, opening, peeling that shoulder back, making sure that your foot is not coming off the ground, holding here. Again, I'm going to turn to the front so you can see this next move. So just one last couple of moments there. Squeezing it all, looking over that shoulder. And then on your next inhale, bring both arms all the way up nice and tall. And we're going to a counter twist, just to reset yourself, bringing the hands down to the mat on the opposite side of the body, and then pulling yourself into a counter twist. Pressing the palms in. Inhale, come up. And exhale, gently release. Bring your feet back to the ground. You're going to wrap your arms around and just release here for the moment before we go to the other side. So drop that chin down. Close the eyes for a moment. Just noticing here any differences between your hips, maybe a little bit of difference in the shoulder. It's lovely to notice those differences because it really makes you appreciate the work that you're doing and understanding that you have to do the other side to get yourself back in balance. All right, so we're going to work towards the other side now. So now we're bringing that left leg down. So the left knee is pointed to the front. Holding here, and then crossing the right leg over. So moving to Gomukhasana first, stacking the knees on top of each other, flexing the feet, making sure that you've got those sit bones grounded down, and you're sitting up nice and tall. Just relaxing the arms here, Remember, we're focusing on the lower body for these seated poses. We're not worrying about bringing the upper body into it right now, not until we go into the spinal twist anyway. And one more slow breath, enjoying that beautiful opening in your hips. Very nice. And now, of course, we're going to be working into the second part of this, which is our half king of the fishes little pose. So you're going to draw that right foot down to the ground. Remember, your pressure point is your right big toe and then your left hip. So make sure that both of those stay connected to the mat so you don't tip over, you don't come out of this pose. All right. Again, you can stay here if you like. Or if you want to go a little deeper, if you can do this with the spinal twist today, you're going to inhale that left arm up, and then exhale, hook the elbow to the top of that right leg, and then start to twist here, either having the hand outside of the right hip, or if you want to go deeper, the hand behind the lower back, and then walk it out one palm length away from your lower back. Looking over that right shoulder. A nice little variation you can hold here, or I can show you a nice little variation if it feels like it's too much on your shoulders. You want to do a spinal twist, but it's a little too intense. You can always just wrap that front arm around the leg. It's just a nice little variation that you can do if you, like I said, if you're feeling it's too much on the shoulder, but you do want to get the benefit of twisting through the back, just bringing that arm down and still looking over the back shoulder. Holding here. Really think about, make sure that you're sitting up nice and tall. And with every exhale, you're rotating, you're twisting just a little deeper if you can, squeezing it. And when you're ready to come out, all you do is you inhale, bring those arms all the way up, and then counter twist. Exhale, draw the palms down to the opposite side of the body. And then draw that front shoulder forward, pushing into the palms, twisting here. Inhale, come back up. And exhale, release those legs nice and softly. Bringing the feet back down to the mat, wrapping the arms around. Dropping the chin down to the chest. Again, just holding here for a moment. And then inhale, lift up the head. Now we're going to be moving on to our backs for the next part of this practice. So turning sideways on the mat if you were faced to the side like me. You can go ahead and release the pillows, but keep them nearby because we are going to want them later. I'll get to show you, well, usually everyone's favorite pose at the end of this, which is going to be shavasana, which is corpse pose. It's kind of what people joke about, like when they go to a yoga practice, they're like, I'm just here for the shavasana, because that's the pose that you're like laying down like asleep. Yeah, so we will get to that because there are some kind of good pointers I want to show and want to tell you. All right, so to go to your back, you start with that staff pose, the Padmasana with the legs straight out. And then we're going to go into a lovely little pose, the one I love. Make sure that you take out if you have a ponytail or hair clip because your head is going to be connected to the back. So go ahead and release yourself down to the mat. Bringing yourself all the way flat on the back. And then the feet connect to the earth, knees pointed up. So we're moving to Ananda Balasana, which is one of my favorite names, and it means happy baby pose. And you'll understand when you see this if you're not familiar with it. So it's a nice little gentle, fun, silly little pose that you can do, especially if you're feeling very stressed before you go to sleep. This is a nice way to kind of start to bring yourself down, and it's lovely for the hips, it's great for the back, and it's kind of silly, so maybe it's a good little giggle you can give yourself. So to do this, all you do is you're going to bring the knees in, maybe one at a time if you want to be nice and gentle with yourself, but draw the knees into the chest, and then you're going to use your first two fingers, your peace fingers. You're going to hook them around your big toes on each foot. And then you start to push the feet up. So the feet are like flat and like parallel to the earth. And your knees are outside of the elbows. Now this is just a nice little hip release. But what's great about it, and you can see why it's called Happy Baby, is you can play with it. So you can just kind of start to rock a little side to side. And just imagine that you're a happy baby. You're in your crib, you're chilling, no worries in the world, just a happy little baby. And depending on how deep you want this to be into your hips, maybe your arms are outside your knees if you're really tight, and this is where you can be. But if you do draw the elbows inside and you start to open those legs up a bit, then you're really going to work into your hips more. All right. So again, just kind of play with this. In the rocking side to side, if you think about it, you're also getting a nice little spinal massage against the ground. So it's a fun little pose. It's something that, again, like I say, if you're very, very stressed and you want to like kind of start to wind down before bed, you can actually do this in your bed. And just kind of laugh at yourself, feel relaxed, feel like you're releasing worries, okay? So holding here for just one more moment, maybe opening those knees, bringing the knees, drawing them down to the earth a little bit more. Very nice. And then to release, draw the arms inside the legs, bring the knees, hug the knees to your chest, maybe for just a moment, picking up the head, squeezing yourself here. And then release the head. Keep your knees like this. We're going to move into viparita karani, which is legs up the wall pose. And this is the most simple way to do an inversion. And all you do is you just extend those legs and push the feet towards the sky. The object here is to have like a 90-degree angle on the body, so your legs are straight up, your upper body is flat. And this is, if you think about it, you are going to be using gravity to start to draw blood down the legs. And like I said, this is a very nice, gentle inversion to do. For any of my women out there, if you are on your moon cycle, your menstruation cycle, this is the inversion that is safe for you. You shouldn't really go into an inversion where your pelvis, where your groin is going to be higher than your heart. It just kind of throws off the whole moon cycle flow. So this is your inversion that you can do if you are on your cycle. And you can always, use your hands maybe on the back of the legs if you need that support. Or the great thing to do, a variation, is to actually be by a wall. That's why sometimes they call it legs up the wall pose. So you can actually bring a wall to the bottom of your booty and just rest your legs against the wall and just completely relax there. All right, so this is more active because I'm not using a wall. But if you do need it, go ahead and move yourself to the wall, relax, hold as long as you want. And of course, there's always things you can do to play in a pose. If you are free like this, you can always do like little kicks maybe, little scissor kicks if you want to make it more active, maybe opening here, whatever you like to do, as long as your upper body stays flat and connected and your feet are engaged up to the sky. All right, so viparita karani, beautiful, nice, simple inversion. And to come out of this, you can simply bend your knees, bring your feet down, or if you want to engage those lower abdominals today, bring your hands beside the body, so your palms are face down, and start to slowly lower the legs. Pointing the toes, using those lower abdominal muscles especially, bringing the legs softly to the earth. And then our final pose I'm going to show you today, before we go to shavasana, is going to be fish pose, which is matsyasana, okay? Fish pose is a nice back bend that you're actually doing on your back. The important thing that you really want to remember when we're doing fish pose is that you do not turn your head. So if you're practicing the pose with me in the video, I need you to not look at the video when we're doing it. I will be verbally guiding you this whole time, I promise. So your legs are out straight, your arms are beside the body. You want to keep the palms facing down to the earth, and then one at a time, bring one hip up, draw the hand underneath the buttock, and then turn to the other side, bring the other hip up, and the hand comes. So then your thumbs are side by side. Your palms are facing down to the earth. All right? And then you're going to start to walk the elbows in. Now from this point on, I'm just going to be looking up at the sky because that's what I want you to do. I want the back of your head connected to the mat. All right? So start to walk the elbows together. And what happens naturally is that you start to lift the chest. The crown of your head, the top of your head, is going to come towards the ground. So you're looking behind you. The world is upside down. It is fantastic. It's awesome. So all you're doing is you're pushing into the forearms, pushing into the elbows, pushing into the hands to draw the chest up. This is fish pose. It's just a very lovely and simple way to do a gentle back bend. You're squeezing here, releasing the back. Legs are together, toes are pointed forward. Not twisting the neck, just doing a bend, a back bend, as you will. Closing the eyes if you're comfortable here, holding in this fish pose. Breathing in and breathing out. Start to slowly release yourself, drawing the back of the head towards the ground, releasing the elbows out, and then releasing one arm at a time. Very nice. For just a moment, bend the knees, and then draw those knees up to your chest for one last hug here before we go to Shavasana. So squeeze the knees in. And here's also where I encourage you to have those pillows. Of course, it's nice to have a pillow under your head, but a really nice way to more fully relax in Shavasana is to actually have another pillow under your knees. This allows your lower back to connect more fully to the mat. It allows your legs to relax a bit more. So you can have a small pillow, bring them underneath your knees. And then if you have two pillows, like I do, bring that other one underneath the head. Kind of curve it around the neck so that your neck feels supported. Okay, so just to give you a few pointers about a good Shavasana, I'm actually going to turn the other side because to come out of this is very important. So stay where you are. I'm just going to show from this side so when I take you out of Shavasana, it'll make more sense. So pillow is supporting the head, underneath the knees. So your feet are going to be open, wider than the hips, and you're going to let them fall out so that your toes fall out. It allows your legs and your hips to more fully relax. Your arms are going to be by the side with your palms facing up, away from the body. The reason why you want your palms up is you want your shoulder blades to be more fully connected to the ground. Again, with this whole mindset of relaxation. Okay? So holding here, obviously closing the eyes, because it's very important. You're trying to relax the whole body, and that does include that mind. So having the eyes closed. And one nice little trick that you can do in Shavasana is if you notice that your mind is too busy, you can simply draw the attention to the physical sensations, the feeling of what parts of your body are connected to the ground, the sensation of your breath flowing in and out of your body. Any sort of thing to take you out of the mind and into the body. All right. So obviously if you have lots of time today and you are like rocking the Shavasana, you want to hang out longer, you can do that. But just to kind of show you how to come out of this the right way, keeping the eyes closed, just listening to my voice, You're going to start to move the fingers and the toes a bit. Starting to wake up the hands and the feet. And then make small circles with the wrist and the ankles. Circles in both directions. Again, the purpose here is to start to wake up the body in a nice manner so the eyes stay closed. And then drawing the feet close to the buttocks, 1 foot at a time. And then drawing the knees all the way to the chest. Wrapping your arms around the legs, squeezing here. And then you want to roll onto your side so that your right shoulder, your right hip come to the mat. So it's almost like a fetal position from here. So you're like a little baby. Your left hand is on the ground in front of you. Eyes are still closed. And then you use your left hand and your right arm, pushing into the ground to draw yourself up to a final seated position. It can be cross-legged, butterfly, maybe try that half lotus if you like, or full lotus if you're feeling very, very loose right now. Whatever you're feeling here, when you come out of Shavasana, the point is to slowly bring yourself back into the body, back to the mat, back to the present moment. Sitting up nice and tall. And when you do come out of a yoga practice, out of a Shavasana, the very last thing you should do is open your eyes. So waking the body up before opening those eyes. And then bringing the hands together at your heart. So I hope you enjoyed this time with me. I hope that this does help kind of take you along your journey if you are starting out with the yoga practice. If you do have any questions, you can always feel free to message me through the Facebook May Yoga page. And I truly hope that I can help sort of foster a love of yoga, bringing it into your life. And there you will see the benefits. The great thing about this ancient practice is that it's not just a form of physical exercise. The benefits that you will receive mentally and emotionally and even spiritually are, if not as great, like I say even greater than the physical benefits, but at least as great as them. So if you do have any questions or concerns, please feel free to message me at any time. Hit that like on this video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe to my channel, please. And I will look forward to seeing you again on the mat very soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.